Milo, the fluffiest, most dignified white cat in the neighborhood, had always been content in his perfectly arranged world of plush cushions, sunbeams, and uninterrupted naps. He had his own space, his own routines, and most importantly, he had peace and quiet. It was a world where every nap was uninterrupted, every meal was served on time, and every sunlight patch was perfectly positioned. Milo, in all his majestic fluff, was quite content with this predictable life. That is, until the new neighbors moved in one crisp autumn morning. A large moving truck rumbled into the driveway of the house next door. Milo, who had perfected the art of watching the world through his windowsill, did his usual curious but distant observation. With his tail flicking lazily and his head tilted ever so slightly, he stared at the scene unfolding below. Movers shuffled in and out, and Milo remained unfazed until the door to the truck opened with a loud thwomp, and out found a massive golden retriever. Max, as Milo would soon come to know, wasn't just any dog. He was the embodiment of pure, unrestrained energy. His tail, a blur of gold and motion, wagged with the force of a small windstorm, and his mouth was wide open in a grin that looked almost comically overjoyed. With a series of excited barks, he began greeting absolutely everything: the movers, the trees, even the patch of grass beneath his paws. For some odd reason, he even barked at a passing squirrel that had absolutely no interest in him, which only made the situation more absurd. Double quotes, well, this is going to be something, Milo muttered under his breath, his nose still pressed against the glass, watching in disbelief as Max darted around the yard with the enthusiasm of a caffeinated squirrel. On a sugar high, for the next few days, Max tried everything to get Milo's attention. He would run up to the fence, barking as if he were calling for reinforcements. Milo, Milo, come play, come play. He would shout, his tail wagging like a helicopter rotor, and his eyes practically glowing with excitement. Milo, on the other hand, was perfectly content in his elegant solitude. With a single flick of his tail, he'd turn away from the window and retreat to his favorite cushion. I have no time for such barbaric behavior, he thought as he carefully groomed his luxurious fur, making sure every strand was just as pristine as the last. But Max, being the stubborn golden retriever he was, wouldn't give up. Every day, he tried a new strategy to get Milo to play. He would chase after him, carrying a squeaky toy in his mouth, or he'd bounce up and down in front of Milo's window like an overly energetic pogo stick. It seemed like the more Milo ignored him, the harder Max tried. He was relentless. One day, Max had an epiphany. I know! He barked, his ears perking up as an idea struck him like a bolt of lightning. I'll become a cat. Then Milo will have to play with me. With that, Max immediately sprang into action. He bounded up to the porch, where he found a couple of old socks. He draped them over his head like a makeshift cat ear headband, attempting to fashion a cat-like appearance. Then, in a highly uncoordinated attempt, he flopped down next to the door, trying to mimic a sleeping cat pose so it looked more like a dog trying to impersonate a slug. With exaggerated fake purring, Max lay completely still, at least as still as a dog could be with the sock over his face. Milo, who had been watching from the windowsill, was stunned into silence. What in the world is this fool doing now, he thought. Unable to look away, his gaze lingered on Max's sock-covered head, which wobbled ever so slightly as he attempted to hold his cat-like position every few seconds. Max would let out a soft meow in a pitch that was somewhere between a bark and a whimper. Milo sighed in exasperation. This was too much. He sauntered over to the fence and called out in his most dignified tone, "Max, if you don't stop pretending to be a cat, I will have to come over there and teach you the proper way to nap." Max's ears flopped down in embarrassment. "I thought cats just sleep all day, right? Like you." He peered at Milo with wide, innocent eyes. "So I figured I should just lie here and look cool." Milo gave him a long, drawn-out look, his green eyes narrowing with judgment. "For one thing, you're covered in socks, which is not very cool. And for another," he said, gesturing dramatically to Max's annex, This is definitely not how we cats nap. Cats are about grace and quiet and class. You, on the other hand, are an absolute disaster." Max sat up, looking utterly sheepish. "I guess I don't know how to be a cat after all." Milo considered this for a moment. He was a creature of comfort and precision, and he had no time for nonsense, especially from a dog who clearly didn't understand the delicate balance of cat life. But then, a wicked idea crossed his mind. Max might not have it all figured out yet, but he's certainly giving it his best shot. If you're enjoying their fun journey, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories where lessons and laughter go paw in paw. Maybe it was time to turn the tables and show Max just what it meant to be a cat. With a sly grin, Milo sauntered up to the fence. "Tell you what, Max," he said, his voice smooth and calculating. "If you really want to be a cat, you'll need to learn the art of being a cat. You can join me in my perfectly organized, serene world of relaxation. I'll even teach you how to nap." Max's eyes lit up with excitement. "Really? You'll teach me?" Milo nodded, his tail flicking with amusement. "Of course. But it won't be easy. Cats are born with supreme relaxation skills. You'll need to follow my exact instructions. If you want to succeed." Max, now sitting with the utmost attention, eagerly leaned in. "I'm ready." Milo began with the basics. First, he said, "You must find the perfect sunbeam. It needs to be warm, uninterrupted, and just large enough to fit your whole body." Max, thrilled to begin his new life as a cat, sprinted over to the nearest sunny patch in the yard, threw himself down, and splayed out in an ungraceful heap. His legs stretched wide, his belly up, and his tail flicked about like a wild pendulum. He looked less like a cat and more like a starfish caught in an awkward position. Milo, unimpressed, sighed and gestured at the scene. "No, no, no." He muttered, "That's not it at all. You're supposed to stretch out with poise, not flail about like a deranged pelican. Try again." Max, undeterred, tried once more. This time, he managed to hold a position, though it was anything but graceful. His back arched in an unnatural way, and his paws seemed more concerned with the nearby bush than with the art of relaxation. "That's better," Milo said reluctantly, "but the key is to stay calm. Cats are masters of stillness. You have to be patient." Max, now visibly frustrated but still determined, managed to relax a little. His tail twitched occasionally, and a soft grunt escaped as he fought the urge to wag it. Milo nodded in approval. "Good. Now let's move on to the next lesson, hunting." Max's ears perked up. "Hunting? I can do that. I've got great sniffers." Milo led Max to the garden, where a small bird perched on a nearby branch. The key to hunting, he explained, is still patience. Like a shadow, like the wind, Max, eager to impress, immediately took a loud step forward. His paws clunking against the ground. Achoo, achoo, achoo. He sneezed, sending a cloud of dust flying and scaring the bird off. The poor creature took flight. With an indignant squawked up Milo, utterly exasperated, face-palmed. Max, you're hopeless. You can't be a stealthy cat if you're constantly sneezing and making noise. You're more like a hurricane than a shadow. But as the lessons continued, something unexpected happened. Max was trying genuinely, trying to follow Milo's instructions. His wagging tail had slowed down, and he was learning the value of stillness, of quiet. Milo, though still grumbling about the dog's utter lack of grace, began to warm to Max's earnest efforts. After all, it wasn't so easy to teach an excitable dog the subtle art of patience and relaxation. Finally, Milo decided it was time for a reward. All right, Max, he said with a smirk, I think you've earned a little rest. Come with me. Max's tail wagged so furiously that it sent a potted plant toppling over. Milo, with a roll of his eyes, led Max to the couch. Milo stretched out gracefully. Claiming his spot on the cushion, he patted the space beside him, giving Max an open invitation. Max, more exhausted than he'd ever been, flopped down beside. Milo, his eyes closed with contentment. This is actually pretty nice, he said. His voice full of odd Milo, curling up contentedly, let out a soft purr. See, sometimes it's nice to just enjoy the quiet and the company of a good friend. And from that day on, despite their stark differences, Milo and Max began to form a unique bond. Max continued to embrace the finer points of cat life napping, quiet time, and the occasional bout of stealth, though still with a fair amount of barking and sneezing. Milo, in turn, learned that maybe a little chaos could be fun once in a while. Max's antics brought a lightheartedness to Milo's previously perfect, if somewhat dull, routine that had found a balance. Max with his boundless energy, and Milo with his calm, dignified nature. In the end, though they were perfectly mismatched, they learned that it was their differences that made their friendship special. After all, in a world of routines and expectations, sometimes the greatest joy comes from the unexpected. Their friendship was a proof that sometimes the most unlikely relationships are the ones that last forever. If this story brought a smile to your face and a lesson to your heart, hit like, share it, and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable tales that can add a little spark to your day.